What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. This one's going to be a fun one. We're going to be looking at my best ball exposures. I've done over 250 best ball drafts already this off season, and we're going to open up my Underdog, my Drafters, and my DraftKings exposures. I had a really nice video that I put out over the weekend talking about 5 things I learned doing 150 plus best balls in June. And I mentioned that I was going to show you guys my exposure at the end of the video, and I totally forgot. So I'm going to link that video if you haven't watched that one, and then I'll cross link it as well. But we're going to hop right into a screen share here, guys. And if you guys are new to best ball, it is a fun tool to kind of help you stay up to date with ADPs and all that good stuff. And we got Breathing Fantasy Football Life in here. Good evening, my man. Wanted to make this video because I promised it in that 5 things I learned with the best balls in June. We're gonna make it tonight. So we're gonna start with Underdog. I did just wrap up the Superflex one. If you guys care to see that one, we can do that. I don't know if you guys do play Superflex, but basically at this point, I've done too many drafts. I need to take a couple days off and figure it out. So let's click open my exposures. I've got 75 teams in here so far. It looks like my number 1 player here on Underdog is Saints running back Jamal Williams. I've got him up to 38.7%. He is basically RB42 right now, and we got over 400. Oh my goodness. Yeah, EJ. But nice to meet you, my man. EJ, I'm Kyle. But anyways, Jamal Williams, I guess he's the runaway, my number 1 drafted player here. 38.7% drafted. I think there's a legit chance that he's going to be the starter for. Depends on Alvin Kamara's situation, but whenever that suspension comes out, I think Jamal Williams' ADP is going to move up quickly. So I'm trying to pump my bags now in June and July, and there's a chance that the Saints. I've heard rumors of potentially cutting him if this thing gets messy. We don't know the suspension length, whether it's 4 games, 6 games, 8 games. We really don't know. I'm super interested to see what can happen there, and I just think buying Jamal Williams right now makes a lot of sense. James Cook's been one of those guys that is kind of like. He gets to the end of the 8th round, sometimes the 9th round, and I'm just like, I do a lot of receiver-heavy teams, so he fits in nicely with a lot of my builds as my RB2 or my RB3. I think looking last year, in the last couple of years, we've seen Devin Singletary rack up a ton of targets in this offense. I don't expect James Cook I'm not drafting James Cook to get goal line touchdowns, guys. I know that's probably going to go to Josh Allen and Damian Harris. I just think being a weapon in that offense, I think we could potentially get something pretty nice here at RB30. I do want to look real quick. FF Today, this is one of my favorite reference sites to just look at past seasons here. And they do have an Underdog tab filter here now for scoring. And I mean, last year, Devin Singletary was RB24 in that format here. And I think James Cook's better than Devin Singletary. So there's a chance there that we might get a top 24 running back. And my Pat Fryermuth right here, 24%. Let's see. And Treylon Burks, you're going to see a pattern here. I have you're going to see a lot of the same guys pop up on a lot of my different sites. So definitely Treylon Burks is a guy that has been moving. And I did put on the fantasyfellowship.com, I try to post the ADPs here, and I need to get the Underdog change in position here, but on drafters, I play more PPR, so that's kind of the one where I'm focusing on here, but there's a ADP risers, fallers tab here, and I kind of try to update this every week, and a lot of guys that I'm picking are on here. I think Treylon Burks is up significantly. And then awesome. It's always tough when you find someone that you really like video wise or whatever. You kind of want to keep it to yourself, but I appreciate it being shared around. And if it's best ball, it's cool to share that kind of stuff. But for redraft, I get it. But yeah, we got DK Metcalf's interesting here. I know a lot of people don't like buying him in the 3rd round, but I think there's a lot of hidden upside in a guy like DK Metcalf. Last year, he only caught 6 touchdowns. In most of his, I guess in 2 of his 3 seasons, he's been a double-digit touchdown guy. So I'm banking on DK Metcalf returning to his touchdown totals. The dude had a ton of targets, 90 receptions last year. I think we could see some nice numbers from DK Metcalf. So he's up there significantly. Juwan Johnson up there significantly. Treylon Burks, again, they got no one to throw the ball to. All the signs right now are pointing to him being in the best shape. And I know it's the best shape of whatever season, but Treylon Burks is the guy you want to have enough of. And then Pat Fryermuth, because I buy a lot of Steelers stacks. I think we were talking about that, EJ, before. I buy a lot of Steelers stuff. You see George Pickens here. You see Jalen Warren. I love these guys in both half PPR. I think the Steelers are an offense you want to buy on. And there's a point there in the draft where you can get George Pickens in the 7th round. You can get Pat Freiermuth in the 9th. You can get Jalen Warren like the 11th and continue to build out your Steelers stack. So I'm heavy Steelers here. Looks like Kenneth Gainwell, 24%. He's my most owned Philly back. I've been buying a lot of Gabe Davis just because it's best ball, and Gabe Davis is made for best ball. He's in a contract year, and typically when I'm in that 6th, 7th round, receivers look really, really good there. So that's why I have a ton of Gabe, a ton of George, a ton of Treylon Burks. Those guys are my heavy clicks in the 6th and 7th round. My highest exposures are mostly unknown ceilings. And that's what every year, it's kind of funny to look back at these exposures at the end of the year. And basically, like, I want high in my list, I want guys that I feel really good about. And when I get a lot of players that have high ADPs, that's when I start to feel good. So guys like DK, Treylon Burks, I feel good about these guys. But yeah, sometimes in the end of the 17th, 18th rounds, I get kind of stuck in my ways, and I continue to draft the same guys. I have a lot of Jalen Warren in the mid rounds. I have a lot of Tajay Spears late. Damien Harris has been another one of those guys, and I'm glad I have a high weight on Damien Harris because I also have a lot of James Cook. So like when one of those guys scores, I'm going to be looking at my best ball teams and feeling pretty good about it. I think if you play on Underdog, you need to be overweight Taysom Hill. Let me show you. It's jaw dropping. When I looked at this, dude was tight end 6 last year, and I know it's not a super consistent per game basis, but to finish top 6 tight end, and for where he's being drafted tight end 21. So I think you want to be overweight Taysom Hill. I'm also overweight here on Chigo Okonkwo, which again, he's going to be the number 2 target for the Tennessee Titans. I feel good about this. And for where his ADP is going, like Chigs, if he doesn't hit, it's not going to hurt me. I think I'm probably getting a decent value here in the 11th, 12th round. So I'm overweight there. Kendre Miller, this kind of piggybacks off of my Jamal Williams take. We don't know how long Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended for. I'm super Kendre Miller looks really, really good, and we haven't seen him in OTAs yet. I think this is a window to buy him, and he's starting to come down in drafts right now. At one point, I was overextended with he was one of my top owned guys. I think in the last couple week or so, I've been able to lower my percentages on Kendre Miller, but when the pads come on and we see his explosiveness, dude's only 20 years old. I think week 1, if there's no Alvin Kamara and we're seeing Jamal Williams plod for 3 yards and Kendre Miller pops a couple, we might be able to get some more Kendre in there. But yeah, man, we'll be in touch. We'll see you in another stream or something like that. Check us out on Twitter. We'll see you again, EJ. Have a good night. But I'm heavily involved in the Saints. I think once I open up my drafters and my DraftKings, especially, you're going to see I like the Saints a lot. I'm buying Keenan Allen in the 3rd round. My bets on Isaiah Hodgins to be the Giants' number 1 receiver is right here. I'm buying a lot of Jake Ferguson late. He's been one of my popular last picks of the draft. I'm pretty heavyweight here on Marvin Mims. He's one of my favorite rookies to draft, and I find myself drafting a lot of Chargers, and that also leads me to drafting a lot of Broncos because they do play Week 17, and the Broncos do cross a couple other high-scoring paths during the fantasy playoffs, so I like grabbing Marvin Mims late. There's a rumor Cortland Sutton could get traded. If that happens, Marvin Mims, give me all the 3 wide receiver sets I can get with Marvin Mims. Brandon Ayuk, I'm pretty heavy on. Christian Kirk here. Gus Edwards, he's just one of those guys that, like, when I need a running back late, I'll put him on the team. He's a full year removed from his serious injury. I think he's going to be a guy that, plods for 4 or 5 touchdowns. And who knows, with J.K. Dobbins, he could miss some time with injuries, or we'll see about this holdout. Hunter Henry, the Patriots have raved a ton about their tight ends in the training camp. I think you want to be a little overweight. I'm probably too overweight here on Hunter Henry. I need to change it up. Jahmyr Gibbs, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think I might be a little bit overweight here on Underdog's half PPR scoring format. Tyler Lockett, just another guy that I think is going way too cheap in the 6th round. KJ Osborne, dude's going to be on the field a ton. Like, that's the main. Think about the Vikings offense. Like, it's pretty much the vintage Rams offense with Jared Goff. Like, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. Osborne's not going to leave the field. I think Addison's a fine pick, but to me, I can get KJ Osborne in the 13th round. I've been scooping him up a lot, especially when I get a Justin Jefferson or I'm building Vikings or Packers stacks. I got some plotters here. Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby. These guys are touchdown half PPR guys. I like that. Some veteran receivers here, Tim Patrick and Michael Gallup. They're both wide receiver threes on their team. They're going to be involved, and it's kind of the KJ Osborne case. These guys are going late. They're going to be on the field a lot. An injury above them opens things up. I kind of want to be overweight on guys, especially teams that are primarily 3 wide receiver sets. I think grabbing that third receiver makes a lot of sense. Been buying a lot of Drake London. Quentin Johnston, again, he just fits that Chargers build for me. When I grab an Eckler or Herbert or Keenan Allen, I like tacking on Quentin Johnston to that. And then there's J.K. Dobbins. I've kind of cooled off on J.K. Dobbins. I'm almost up to 15%. His ADP is starting to come down, so I'm probably going to start buying more J.K. As we get into July. Calvin Ridley, Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks. Again, good receivers and good passing offenses. I think you want to be invested here. I bought a lot of Mark Andrews, up to 14%. Kenny Pickett, we've talked about the Steelers earlier. Garrett Wilson's been one of my favorite second-round clicks when I get in the early part of the second round. More bets on the Giants wide receiver. Austin Eckler, one of my favorite picks in this underdog format. When you get a pick, between like 6, 7, and 8, sure, I can grab, Kelsey, AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs. I kind of just default to the Chargers offense and Austin Eckler, and I get the running back secured, and then I can, hammer receivers. Olave, a lot of times I get a lot of Eckler, Olave on the same team. And then there's Derek Carr. I'm heavily invested into the New Orleans Saints. They have one of the easiest schedules this year. I did put some work on the fantasyfellowship.com highlighting the schedule, ease of schedule. So check that out. I got a lot of Justin Jefferson. I'm pretty happy about this. I've gotten pretty blessed with the number 1 pick, 13.3%. I'm happy with that. I want to keep that number up. That would be fantastic. More Bengals bets here. Zach Charbonnet, you want to be high on him. At one point, I was super high on Ty Chandler, but his ADP is starting to rise up a little bit. So I've kind of cooled off on that. I'm just going to let's just go by position here. I just want to see what guys I'm 8% above. Because typically, 1 divided by 12, that's about 8%. Any player you're over 8%, that means you're into him. So Jerome Ford, Gibson, Samaje Perine, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette. Whenever I'm glad Leonard Fournette was okay. If you didn't see, he was in a terrible car fire today. He did come out okay. But whenever Fournette signs, he's going to shoot up ADP dramatically. Rashawn Johnson's a pretty cheap bet in the Bears backfield. Nick Chubb, A.J. Dillon, Tony P., Deonta Foreman, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, and then we connect to Ty Chandler here. Let's look at the receivers over 8%. We'll kind of skip these guys. T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton. I love Nico Collins. I want to get that number higher. Alec Pierce, JSN, Robert Woods, Khalil Shakir. Pretty happy with my Jamar Chase numbers. To be at 12% Jamar Chase and 13% Justin Jefferson, that's feeling pretty good. I do have a good amount of Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, Down Peoples-Jones as well. My tight ends. Where's my 8%? Trey McBride, 8%. I need more of him. Dulcich, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson. Pretty happy with 12% Travis Kelce. That feels good. I've been buying a lot of Dallas Goedert lately. Herb Smith, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Jake Ferguson, Chig, Taysom Hill, Pat, and then Juwan. Let's look at my quarterbacks real quick. Guys I'm 8% or higher on. Kirk, CJ Stroud, Geno Smith, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa. I want to get my Tua number higher. I want to get my Jalen Hurts number higher as well. Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, and Kenny Pickett. But anyways, that's my underdog exposures, guys. I'm going to hop over to Drafters where I have done a handful more drafts, but I don't know if I've done the same amount of dollar weight. Let's see if we can kind of zoom in here a little bit for you guys. My number 1 player here on Drafters, and Drafters is full PPR. I've gotten Pat Freiermuth a ton. My ADP is about 108. His ADP is about 111, so I am grabbing him a little bit ahead of ADP, but I'm fine with that. Brock Purdy, my number 1 taken quarterback here, and I'm getting him at a good ADP. My ADP is at 188. His ADP is 177. I think that's going to continue to rise here as we get closer to training camp. We just got a blurb today that he is good to go. And he's going to be throwing soon. So I'm super excited about Purdy. I think you got to pack those bags throughout July because come August, I think his ADP is going to be kind of baked in. Then more DK Metcalf, more Treylon Burks. There's Kendry Miller. We didn't see Dameon Pierce on Underdog, but he does pop up here. His ADP is pretty low. He's going at the end of the 6th round, dipping into the 7th round now. I think I want to buy Dameon Pierce. You can get him pretty cheap. Again, 7th round to be, your RB2. That seems like a good bet. Christian Kirk's pretty high for me on full PPR sites. Gerald Everett, again, that's more Chargers that I want to be invested in. And his ADP is really cheap. He's a 14th round player on Drafters. More James Cook. I love James Cook in full PPR. I think that's where his value lays. On Underdog, he's not my favorite pick. I think, again, he's a good player and a good offense. So when I'm building Bills stacks, that's where he fits in the 8th or 9th round. But on drafters, I want as much James Cook as I can get. He's going to be a 40, maybe a 50 catch player this year. We'll see. Jahmyr Gibbs, same thing. Full PPR. I want to be overweight on Jahmyr. I'm not as heavy on Jamal Williams on drafters because it is full PPR. I think Underdog is where you want to be on Jamal. We love Chris Olave. There's Chig, Brian Robinson. Again, a lot of the same names kind of pumping up here. Let's just look at the positions real quick. For quarterback, guys I'm higher than 8% on. Don't sleep on Ryan Tannehill. I think Tannehill could start a lot more games than people think, but Desmond Ridder, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett, Geno Smith, Tua, there's Rodgers, Dak. I want to get my Dak number higher. I think they're going to trend more passing than we expect. They also have a fantastic playoff schedule. CJ Stroud, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Mac Jones, Herbert. Herbert's my number one quarterback here that I want to target this year. So I love Herbert here. Let's look at the RB position. RB's above market at 8%. Got a lot of them. There's Chuba. Jonathan Taylor's right at market. Ramondre right at market. I want to continue to be at market on some of the heavy round 2 guys. So continue to draft these guys. Continue to try to be around 8%. There's Javonte Williams, who I'm moving up my boards. Isaiah Pacheco, Foreman, Charbonnet, Bijan, Rashad Penny, David Montgomery, Anaconda, AJ Dillon. There's Brees. I want to get my Brees number higher. You got Tony Pollard. Austin Eckler's been a popular click for mine. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Antonio Gibson. I have a good ADP on Gibson. I got 12% Gibson, 108 ADP, and his ADP is 95. So I have a full round discount on Antonio Gibson at 12%. So I'm feeling good about that. I also have a decent little Malik Davis bet in case he is the number 2 running back. I feel good about that. I have almost a full round of value on Kenneth Gainwell. Let's see what else we got. Almost a full round of value on Tank Bigsby. We were buying Bigsby a lot in end of May. Look at my Ty Chandler value. I was buying a ton of Ty Chandler. He's at 212 for my ADP, and his ADP went all the way up to 182. So I have a 30 pick advantage here on Ty Chandler drafters. And that's pretty much the biggest. I think that's my biggest advantage as far as ADP versus the field. My wide receivers that I have the biggest advantage on. Michael Gallup's a good one. I have a 142 ADP. His ADP is at about 130, so a full round ahead of Michael Gallup here for me. My Marvin Mims is going to look good, I think, in a little bit. Let's see. I thought I had one big. Deontay Johnson. I have 15% Deontay. And full PPR, you want Deontay. Half PPR, I think you want Pickens. I have a full 14 picks here of ADP value on Deontay, so that feels good. Let's see any other major values I have. I have a good little lead on Isaiah Hodgins. Let's see who else sticks out. Darius Slayton, man, I got a 208 ADP on him. He's being drafted 191st. That feels good. I have a good 13 picks on Tyquan Thornton. A little boost on Nico Collins. Terrace Marshall moving up boards. I got him at 225. His ADP is 214. That feels good. And this is the benefit of drafting early. Like my Jahan Dotson number looks really good. A 78.7 ADP at 10%. And he's being drafted 69th now. Look at my Paris Campbell one, though. 10% Paris Campbell, 213 ADP, and he's being drafted 184th. So you can get a lot of these values that's the benefit of drafting early. So get on some of these sites. If you guys aren't on drafters yet, use my promo code in the link below. You guys can get a free, I think up to $20. I'm not sure. Tight ends, Pat Frymouth, Everett. We covered up kind of all these guys. I like my Trey McBride number here. Taysom Hill, continuing to draft him here. There's Jawan Johnson. Let's see. Anybody else stick out here? I'm kind of, I'm happy to be at market on Goddard, Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Pitts. I'm feeling good about those numbers, but these late round tight ends, I think, is where you want to be. So that's my drafters exposure. Let's take a peek here at my DraftKings. And DraftKings they need to get better at their stuff here. But here is my number one drafted player. Here is Treylon Burks at 42%. Kendra Miller at 39%. Olave, T. Higgins, Brock Purdy, more Jamal Williams propaganda, Christian Kirk, Tank Bigsby, Quentin Johnston, Rashid Shaheed, Jalen Warren, James Cook, Christian Watson, kind of all the same names here. I just want to scroll all the way to the bottom and let's see if anyone sticks out at my 3%ers. I need more Mahomes. I could use more Boyd. More Mixon, but I'm just nervous about Mixon getting cut. Could use more Lamar. Definitely more Lamar and more Dak. I need more Dak on DraftKings, more Michael Thomas, more Saquon Barkley, more Cortland Sutton, more Daniel Jones. Like a lot of these guys, I'm way too low on some of these guys here. So I need more exposure here to some of these players. But that's what's kind of cool about seeing these is like you can go down. It's cool to see you guys at the top, but you kind of want to look at the bottom and see who you need more exposures of. So on DraftKings, I do need to spread it out because I have too many big names here at the bottom of my list. So I'm going to work on that. But hey, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to check out more, go to thefantasyfellowship.com. That's where a lot of things are posted for you guys in the 2023 playbook. Check out the rankings, projections, articles, and some of the best ball ADP. So thank you for hanging out with me, guys. That was a good, quick little 20-minute video. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.